Welcome to the Customer Wins podcast, where business leaders discuss their secrets and techniques for helping their customers succeed and in turn grow their business.
Hi, I'm Rich Walker, the host of the Customer Wins, where I talk to business leaders about how they help their customers win and how their focus on customer experience leads to growth. Some of my past guests have included Steve Meixt of Opti, Kate Guillen of Simplicity Ops, Abby Morton of Elements, and Sean Kapuscinski of Hyphon. Today, I'm speaking with Rob Sweas, Certified Financial Planner with Arete Wealth Advisors. And today's episode is brought to you by Quik, the leader in enterprise forms processing. When your business relies upon processing forms, don't waste your team's valuable time manually reviewing the forms. Instead, get Quik. Using our Form Extract API, simply submit your completed forms and get back clean, context-rich data that reduces manual reviews to only 1 out of 1,000 submissions. Visit quickforms.com to get started. All right, I'm really excited to talk to Rob. Rob Sweas is a certified financial planner in the western suburbs of Chicago. Starting back in 2007, Rob worked with his father for 5 years until his unexpected death in 2012. Since then, Rob has been helping clients who are going through major life changes. Over the past year, Rob has been overhauling his firm's operations because he changed firms, went through the TD Ameritrade transition to Schwab, and merged with a larger group of advisors. He enjoys spending time with his wife and 5 kids, coaching baseball, and recently completed his bucket list by visiting every Major League Baseball stadium, 42 in all, including ones that are no longer in use. Rob, welcome to the Customer Wins.
Thanks for having me, Rich. I'm glad to be here. And yeah, checking off that bucket list. The last stadium was in Dallas, Texas, the Texas Rangers Stadium. That was the last one.
Oh, that is awesome. What a cool trip that must have been. All right. So for those of you who haven't heard this podcast before, I talk with business leaders about what they're doing to help their customers win, how they built and deliver a great customer experience, and the challenges to growing their own company. Rob, I want to understand your business a little bit better. How does your company help people?
Well, we help people going through hard life transitions. So we like to say we're male practicing shrinks, right? There's a lot of anxiety that comes with people's finances. And, we've seen the deer in the headlights look where somebody lost a spouse, or they're going through a divorce, or they're doing something like approaching retirement. There's a lot of anxiety with that, and clients don't know what to do. And what we found in our field of work, clients are willing to pay for good advice and just help them through those life transitions. So we take a lot of the anxiety out of it, talk them down. We explain what life's going to look like on the other side of this big life transitions. And it's a great feeling. I love being able to help people in that way.
So I have to admit, I'm actually no stranger to change myself. And part of my own story when I meet people, people always ask, Rich, where are you from? I say, well, I've moved 33 times in my life. And while I have not experienced the tragedy of losing a spouse or something like that, change is really, really hard, even if you know how to do it. I mean, I guess your father's passing must have been a catalyst, but I have to guess there's even more to it than that makes you drawn to wanting to help people through this change. What is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I have been through a lot of hard changes. I mean, losing my dad, I had worked with him for 5 years. I basically had to take over his financial advising practice, and I had to put my big boy pants on, so to speak. I had to think quick on my feet. I had to, collaborate with people and find solutions. And so I think, I was just put in a situation like that, and I needed to be able to run things smoothly and, get help where I needed to and just be able to streamline it. So I think that feeling like life is it feels out of control. Like nobody likes that feeling. You want to feel settled. You want to feel confident. And so, I love that feeling. I love giving people the confidence and to be able to face what's ahead of them and not have to feel the anxiety, not have to feel the pressure and the stress, and just being able to help alleviate that. It's a great feeling for clients. It also builds a lot of trust and some lifelong connections, and clients will always look at you and be so grateful for that time where, the first call that they have, like when this awful thing happened, they call you and they don't know what's next, and you can help them through that. They'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, I remember when I was an advisor, everybody's like, you got to define your niche. You got to figure out who is your ideal client, that kind of stuff. And it's true of any kind of product service business. But this one in specific, I mean, it comes from a personal standpoint, but also from a business standpoint, you are building lifelong customers, and that's amazing. I want to ask you more towards customer experience, because when you have a product or service, inherently you're asking somebody to change in order to become your customer. And one of the things I talk a lot about is if you build a better customer experience, you will win more customers, drive more growth, things like that. What is it specifically that you're doing to make the experience of working with you better than somebody else might be? I mean, you mentioned a little bit giving them confidence, but I mean, what are some of your techniques, or what are some of the ways you communicate or be proactive or reactive to their situation that makes you different?
Well, we like to educate our clients. We like to, give them some tools in their tool belt, have them understand things like their tax return, a very complex thing. We like to help give visuals, help them understand like the consequences of making different decisions. Like a lot of decisions that clients make, they're easily quantifiable. You can say, if you do this, it'll cost you this, or if you do this, it'll save you this much in taxes. And so our advice is not just some feel good thing. Like it's a there's tangible value to it. And in a day and age where a lot of investment advisors, it can be very commoditized. There's everybody can have different investment models and ETFs and mutual funds or whatever. But if you can give people good advice and have them understand it, like you really can prove your value, and you can prove that you're worth paying this advisory fee. You're not just coasting on whatever, some commission or advisory fee or whatever. Like, we like to really give the value, so we strive for that. So a lot of what we do is good visualizations, good software, explain, here's your net worth statement, and use some powerful financial planning software and show them a visual of like what their income will look like every year, and here these big changes that are implemented. Here's what life will look like. Here's what the assumptions are. You want to compare, worst case scenario. Here's what it looks like. And then clients can see, like, they can visualize themselves in that place down the road and say, wow, okay, I feel confident to move ahead with this decision. And so, yeah, a lot of it is just really good education, good visuals to just be able to explain things so that they can make a confident decision. I mean, no client likes to have, buyer's remorse or, oh man, I made this decision, I wish I made this one. If you can just really, frame it up in a way where it's like, it's a no-brainer. This is how you want to proceed. And clients love having that confidence to be able to proceed accordingly.
Yeah. Do you feel like you tilt your practice towards big events and planning for them for the people who haven't necessarily gone through them? I mean, look, I think a lot of advisors talk about, hey, you could die, you should have life insurance, so that kind of stuff. But like, even in some of the discussions I've had with companies that are AI focused, they're looking at life events driving advisor behavior with their client behavior and more engagement. Do you find yourself in that leaning, or is it just natural come up? Or
we work closely with a lot of estate planning attorneys, and so a lot of times, the attorneys can see things that might be on the horizon or something coming, like maybe a client's in poor health, or there's been a big change in their life, and hey, they're really going to need some the assistance of a financial planner to be able to help them through this. So a lot of it, I think we just have a good referral network of some estate planning attorneys, and they're like, hey, this person needs someone to talk to. They're going through a hard time. And so, I wouldn't say it's really event driven, but that's what I've learned too, is you have to have good collaboration with other professionals. Nobody can be an expert at everything.
Mm-hmm.
You have to rely on others. You have to rely on a CPA to, give that tax expertise. You have to rely on the estate planning attorneys. And when you can have the whole team working collaboratively together, the client, they appreciate that. They see the value of that too. So there are times where I feel like a quarterback of a client's finances, where, they need somebody to kind of bring it all together. And, that's what we strive to do. So.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to shift it back to you a little bit and talk about the changes you went through with your firm. because that's another big type of change that you've been facing. And in full disclosure, everybody listening, Rob's actually a customer of ours. And we met because he gave us some tremendous feedback on our product and how things were working. And I was like, oh my gosh, what an amazing guy. He recorded a video so we could actually see it. It was just awesome. So I'm like, man, you need to be on the show and talk about this, but I don't want this to be a commercial about my company per se. What I want to be able to do is help other advisors and firms out there who are listening to this see what you went through to make these decisions and how you came about these decisions, because it's so fresh in what you've been going through. So can you talk about the big changes your firm went through and then how you went about solving for these changes?
Sure. And yeah, this is not a commercial for Quik. No, I won't say the check's in the mail, or I'll expect the check in the mail. But honestly, this is our experience. We just kind of stumbled across Quik and your software. It was just out of necessity. Basically, what happened was a year ago, we changed our broker-dealer and our registered investment advisory firm. So that is no small undertaking. So it was a lot of preparation, explaining to the clients, here, this is the impetus for why we're making this change. We're assimilating into a larger group of advisors. And, and then when you have to do it and kind of pull the trigger and all right, it's go time. I mean, it was a lot of just the way we did it was just a very labor intensive, lot of just managing a team of people, manual data entry, and you have to have the right set of forms for the right set of, types of accounts, and, communicating with the new firm and trying to understand how they work and what they're looking for. And it was very difficult, but when we did it, it worked out well. When we sent those hundreds and hundreds of DocuSign packages, they were all customized. That was on it was July 1st, 2023. And it worked well because within 2 to 3 weeks, all those investment advisory accounts that we lost oversight of those accounts, they all came back online with our new firm. Within 2 to 3 weeks, we had every account back. Was there
a lot of fear and trepidation before you hit send on all those DocuSign envelopes?
There was. It was a lot of like having people check it over, like, is this right? Did we include everything? Did we forget anything? Like all this disclosure and legalese and all this stuff. And, it was a big undertaking. So
what would it mean if it was wrong?
You prep as much as you can. And then when it's go time, you just hope for the best. And it worked out quite well.
What would have happened, or what did happen if anything was wrong? What did it mean to you if it was wrong?
If we didn't get something right, I mean, we would not have been able to have oversight over the client's investment accounts. We would have not gotten paid. I mean, as soon as we left firms, like that's all that revenue was shut off instantaneously. And so we were like, okay, if we can get this all back online as soon as possible, that will be great for everybody. We can continue managing it without a hitch. So it was hard, but and then it was not even 2 months after that, we made this big change and we're trying to understand the operations of a new firm. Then, anyone in the financial services industry would know it was a big change when TD Ameritrade was bought out by Charles Schwab. So that was over Labor Day weekend last year. And man, then we were like, okay, we just felt like we got our footing a little bit. And now it feels like everything was unplugged, like at the same time. Like, don't know how to do the most simple tasks. We're so tedious and laborious, and it was just demoralizing. We were just like, gosh, like everything's so hard. Like we knew how to do everything with TD Ameritrade. They had really good technology, and anyways, like so we were really struggling. But then I think slowly but surely it was like understanding how a system works, understanding a software or a platform like Schwab, for example, and I got to give Schwab credit. They did implement a lot of the suggested changes that a lot of financial advisors had. So slowly but surely, we were making steps in the right direction. But then we were just like, man, for onboarding new clients, we were like, see, there's a lot of different ways to do the same thing. Schwab has like an onboarding system, for example, and like a digital onboarding. And we tried it out. We're like, okay, let's give it a shot. And we had clients test it, like, some, friendlies kind of test it out. What do you think of this? And they're like, I counted 25 checkboxes I had to click through, and it would just keep expanding and like more and more legalese. it was like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? It was just a very unpleasant client signing experience. And we're like, gosh, I don't want to send this to a new client. This would be horrible to put them through this. And so we kind of ruled that out. We tried, the using Schwab's free DocuSign service. We're like, okay, well, it's nice because it updates the forms and, you can do some customization, but, we tried doing that and there was no way to get the data flowing in. It was just very copying and pasting and just labor intensive. So we tried that. We tried some other like proprietary things that our back office had tried, and it wasn't quite ready and it wasn't working the way we thought. So we're like, man, we got to find something better because we're dying here. The status quo is like, that's not an option. So what it did was just talking to people, talking to consultants, talking to DocuSign and seeing what their capabilities were, talking to Redtail, our CRM software. What are these integration capabilities? And so we came across Quik, and I had heard of Quik. I had used other form filling softwares in the past, and I was like, let's give it a shot. And then I was not seeking to become some operations guru by any means, but it just was felt like I was put in this position. And basically we found a way to integrate Redtail as our CRM with our central depository of client information, integrate it with Quik, who does the heavy lifting with the form filling. And then DocuSign, Advisor's own DocuSign is a system, just where, does all the sign here flags and initial flags. And so bringing all that together and then not just that, but just really just exhaustively trying to figure out the capabilities of software. And then when I just, at first I was investigating Quik. I'm like, okay, this is good. The fields are matching up, but then I'm really doing a deeper dive of just being able to pre-fill different, parts of paperwork. Like if it's the same, if it's uniform across every client account of ours, if we could program it in a way to like streamline that would save us just countless hours of time. So I'll give you one example on Schwab's paperwork. And this is like, we had to figure this out the hard way. Like if you check one box, it will allow an advisor like us to be able to do a Roth conversion, moving money from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA with a click of the button, just instantaneously done. Super easy. But if you don't have the right box check on the paperwork, like you can't do it. You got to have the client sign all this paperwork, and it's just, super, laborious thing.
Yeah.
And another thing was, it was just getting the right boxes. Another one was changing the tax withholding on an account. To be able to do that with a click of the box, like the advisor do it before we process the withdrawal. If you don't have the right box check, you can't do it. You have to have the client sign all this form, and it's just a big, headache. So we were like, we want every single account that we open to have uniformity of everything checked just the way we do it. We don't want to have to think about it. We want opening accounts to be so easy and seamless and to be able to do everything and have everything at our fingertips. And so with Quik, we were just, testing it out. And now we got this system and it's like, everything is pre-checked just the way we want it. And so if a client's like, hey, I want to do a Roth conversion, it's an easy thing. It's like, open this account and it's open the next day and we process it online. It's like,
awesome.
It's like an amazing thing. So we feel like in our industry, we're in the business of giving good advice, good consulting, right? That's what clients pay us for. But like a good idea is only so good if like you actually have some implementation and you're able to do it. And so if we have really good operations and can streamline this, then our good ideas actually become a reality and clients experience the benefit of it. And so that's basically a flyover of how this kind of happened. It was like, man, we got to change something. And we discovered this integration process. And so we've been really, really happy with it.
No, that is awesome. And I'll point out, you're referring to our ability to set field rules with default values, right?
That's right.
Honestly, that's a hidden feature. It's not exposed in the application interface. You have to read our guide to know it exists. You have to talk to somebody on my team to know it exists. And we may have even had to help you set it up, which we're happy to do. And we're working to expose that capability because it's been part of our system for a long time. but it's just, I didn't realize how powerful it is for what you're trying to accomplish and how much it changes the user experience. Because again, you just told me, if you skip that checkbox on that form, going back later is 10 times the effort versus doing it up front. And now you can make it a default setting. That's just awesome. So Rob, I want to ask you a question. When you switched firms and 2 months later, you're switching from TD to Schwab, when you switched firms, were you already with TD and then you just switched to TD again? Did you not know you were going to have to
so we
move to
changed
Schwab,
our back office firm. That was July 1st. And then it was a TD Ameritrade to TD Ameritrade change at first.
Okay.
And then it was Labor Day last year. That's when all the TD Ameritrade accounts were converted to Charles Schwab accounts.
Okay. Did you miss any? Like, did any not arrive in time to get converted over to Schwab?
No, everything, all the TD Ameritrade accounts that were, in existence, like as of a certain date, they all were automatically, carried over to Schwab. Yeah. So I think the hardest part of the transition to Schwab, it was like a negative consent letter. Like we didn't have to do anything to like change them to Schwab accounts. So they just happened over, Labor Day weekend. The hardest part was just not knowing how to do anything. I mean, we watched a lot of videos and training and this is how stuff works, but like that only goes so far. You just have to dive in the deep end and just
figure out how operational knowledge was gone, basically.
Yeah.
You had to start over with new processes, new websites to click into, et cetera. That makes sense. I mean, that's like being thrown into a foreign country where you don't know how the electricity works or what side of the road they drive on. Yeah, no, that's incredible. When so you're going through all this, and I think your example also points out something else. I think Schwab does an amazing job. They've put a ton of time and money and thought into customer experience and into product, but it still is never going to be a panacea. It's never going to solve everybody's problem, no matter how good you are. And to me, that's an example of what customer experience is and is not. It's impossible to get it right and get it perfect every time. And I think about what you're talking about, that had you not talked to us and found out that you could do default rules, you might not be satisfied at all with the product. It might just be, another product that can fill out forms, right?
Yep. No, it was a game changer because, just if you're starting from scratch, opening accounts, I mean, it can take, it takes a long time just to go through every form and make sure it's just right. And if I can preset all of those rules, it's fantastic. I mean, I will say, like, just understanding what the capabilities of the software were and just trying to ask good questions. I mean, I'm no coder. I mean, I don't know the first thing about, software engineering and whatnot, but I was like, I kind of caught a glimpse from some of your, your team there at Quik. And I was like, this is what I'm looking for. Can it do this? And like, oh yes, sure can. And they would kind of unlock some of these doors for me. And it didn't take a lot. I was just like, reviewing some, things on the website, like here's how to get started with this. And I was like, am I doing this right? And then once I kind of got going with it, I was like, okay, I kind of capture the vision. I don't need a lot of help anymore. And then just being able to code everything just right and prep it just right. And then when we get accounts open, like I said, we can do everything that we need to do. Like we have all the capabilities at our fingertips. And so it's just going back to the client for more signatures. Yeah.
This is another lesson about how customers win that I want to bring up. And it's not something I talk about very often. I tend to talk about how you as a provider can help your customer win, how you as a designer of a solution can help your customer win by making it easier, more obvious, et cetera. But I'm guilty of something, Rob. I'm a product person first. Like sales is an afterthought to me. It's like, how do I get the best product features and designs and capabilities into our system? And we have so many things in our system, it's impossible to tell everybody about all of them all at once. So what I want to point out is the other way you help your customer win is when the customer dives into the details and has a thirst, a curiosity to find out, like you did. You're like, what can this do? And this is part of the conversation I had with Kate Guillen when she was on my show, is that she really helps people understand what you can do with a red tail and how you can use it to its most maximum potential for what you're trying to accomplish. How many times do we as consumers buy a product, it's going to change my life, fail to read the instructions, and it not change our life? So
No
I
doubt.
applaud you for having that courage. A lot of people are afraid of tech, like, oh, I'll break it if I go in too hard or click too many buttons. But I applaud you for having the courage to try and figure it out and then discover it can solve the problems for you.
I would say that, the drive for that curiosity, it just came from being in a situation where all of our operations were just so disrupted and we just couldn't, everything seemed so difficult. We were just like, we have to find a better solution. So it was like, I want to know everything that this thing can do. And I want to, exhaust every avenue because I know how to do it this way, and this way is terrible. So now that I feel like we're onto something really good. And now it's just a matter of, hey, let's roll it out to the whole team. We can make bundles of forms, and so, hey, we're all doing this. Let's scale it up now. And so I feel like I'm at a place. I've been using Quik like maybe 6 months now. I feel like I understand it really well. I've kind of pre-filled out a lot of forms, just the way we want it. Trying to make compliance happy and everybody happy, and we're like, okay, this is what we want to do, and let's scale it up. So that's kind of my next, maybe after the turn of the year, that's my next goal.
So Rob, let's pretend something. If you were on a panel on stage at a conference of your peers, and you're talking to an audience who is not forced to change in all the ways that you had to change so rapidly, but many of them are not maximizing the potential of the tech they even own already, what would you say to them? How would you help them see this as a catalyst? How would you help them move forward? Because so many people just get comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, what it comes down to is, time is money. And you want to be able to use your time the most efficiently. And I think that when I really discovered just how much time this saves us and how things are not daunting and just, oh gosh, like I have to do this, it's going to take this long or whatever, or managing a team of people to do that. You feel lighter. You feel like more nimble. You feel like you can accomplish a lot more. And it's like, oh yeah, that's nothing. I can do that. And I feel like it really, it saves time, but then you're able to offer clients such a better experience and better service. And you're able to, all these good ideas that we might have in our head, like actually get them done. And so I feel like that's really where I feel a sense of accomplishment is you're doing what's best for the clients. You're helping them, solve problems, achieve their goals. And so, yeah, there's only so much time in the day, but this is a way to maximize it. And so, I feel like that's a good motivation.
No, that's awesome. Are you seeing measurable results, increased revenue, client referrals, I don't know, AUM, any measurable results because you've been improving customer experience?
Well, I would say, yeah, we definitely built a system where we have the capacity to do that much more. Whereas before it was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if we could take on new clients because we're still figuring out the best way of doing everything. But I would say that, yeah, our capacity is greatly improved. Our morale is greatly improved. There's so many things across the board. So yeah, I would say that, yeah, that by nature, it will turn into, more new business and more, more clients, serving more clients. So I think, yeah, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the studies prove it. McKinsey came out with a study in June of 23 that says exactly that. Microsoft and Gartner Group have been talking about that for a while. When you focus on a better experience, you drive growth. And what I also think about, and I try to make the distinction of, it's not just your customer experience that you try to improve, it's your own internal experience. Mm-hmm. Because our internal experience is projected outward. So what people feel on the outside as a customer is actually what's reflecting from inside the company too. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a slightly different question, and this might be coming out of left or right field here, so forgive me. Are you doing anything with AI? I mean, it's all the rage right now. Are you doing anything with AI to make things better, faster, easier?
I have listened to a lot of podcasts and done some training on AI and seen some of the capabilities. I've tried out, Chat GPT, and I've asked questions into that, like a client question, like, what should I do if I have this situation? I try to see how specific it is. So I've tested it out. I've dabbled with it. I guess, there's the rules are always changing. So you got to know, you can't just trust a piece of software, like in whatever data it spits out. Like you got to know like what it's saying and what is it telling you to do? You have to know what the numbers mean. And so I'm always going to be a little hesitant until they, maybe fine tune it. But I think it's interesting to dabble with it. Sometimes if I have ideas in my head, I can kind of test it like, oh, maybe I'll see what ChatGPT says. And it's a remarkable software. If you have tried ChatGPT, I mean, it could write papers or make investment, advice. You could just see what it says. And then I think maybe what it's good for right now, from my perspective, is just maybe affirming advice or confirming something that I say. Like, oh, is the software tracking with what I'm thinking? So I think that's kind of how I'm using it right now, but not to a great extent. I'm sure it'll improve or increase in the future.
In a way, I'm insanely jealous. I'm not becoming a financial advisor now with all the tools that are available versus 2000, 2001 when I was doing it. It's incredible what's happening and what's coming. But I applaud you for going out and trying it out. There are so many new rules coming down the road, I'm sure, to help put guardrails on this thing. Look, we're going to have to wrap this up, and I have another question. But before I get to that, what is the best way for people to find and connect with you, Rob?
Well, like I said, we've had a lot of firm changes and things like that. So I would say email is the best right now. So you could feel free to reach out to me. My email is rob@krmfinancial.com.
All right. Awesome. So my last question, who has had the biggest impact on your leadership style and how you approach your role today?
Well, I would say without question, it would be my father. His name was Paul Sweas. He was a CPA, financial advisor. Like I said, I got to work with him for 5 years. Probably the best, 5 years of my life. It was just a great time just being under his mentoring and understanding the industry and just, like I said, solving people's problems. And so, and then his untimely death, it put me in a position to just be in this difficult transition period in my life. And, I saw how he helped people and gave them confidence to face what was ahead in life. And now I'm in a position, with my unique experiences as well and going through various hard things, I can, turn around and I can help clients do the same. And, it's a great feeling to be able to help people. I love what I do. I love working with people, like you're talking about AI, it's helpful, but like at the end of the day, it's a personal relationship business. And I love being able to connect with people and just help solve their problems in any way I can. So anyways, thanks again for having me on the show.
Yeah, man, I love these stories. Maybe I should start the show with these stories. All right. I want to give a big thank you to Rob Sweas, certified financial planner with Arete Wealth Advisors, for being on this episode of The Customer Wins. Go check out Arete's website at Arete Wealth. That's ARETE wealth.com. And don't forget to check out Quik at quickforms.com, where we make processing forms easier. I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and we'll click the like button, share this with someone, and subscribe to our channels for future episodes of The Customer Wins. Rob, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much, Rich.
Thanks for listening to the Customer Wins podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.